Hello and happy Tuesday, which is of course my book reviews day. And today I want to talk to you about Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes by Eric LaRocca. This is just a regular trade edition from Titan Books, but as you can see from the sticker there, it is signed by the author, LaRocca himself. It's just your standard trade edition, lots of quotes and blurbs on the back, including Josh Mallerman, who I reviewed 2 weeks back, Stephen Graham Jones, who I reviewed last week, and Paul Tremblay, who I'm reviewing next week, because I'm currently reading Cabin at the End of the World. But anyways, it's just your standard trade edition. You can get a signed copy or an unsigned copy online. I think signed copies are still available through Books A Million and Barnes & Noble. Unsigned copies available anywhere books are sold. And there's Eric LaRocca's signature on a piece of paper that has the perfectly thematic peeled apple on it. So the titular novella, Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, was all the rage on Books of Horror last year. It's a Facebook group, Books of Horror. You should join it if you're not already a member. Last year and the year prior, it was getting lots of praise on there. It's a big book talk horror novella. And so I went in not really knowing anything about it, but I was intrigued right from the get-go. It starts off with, well, it's a fictional author's note, because this is a work of fiction, but it talks about how there's an ongoing case, ongoing murder case or I guess it would be manslaughter. I don't think they actually say what the case is, in the death of Agnes Petrella and Zoe Cross, who is the person of interest. And so because of that, various parts of this novella are going to be omitted and redacted. So the entire novella is an epistolary novella, which means the entire thing is told from the point of view of like letters, in this case emails, instant messages. It takes place in the early 2000s, takes place in 2000. And it starts off with a simple exchange on an LGBTQ forum of one woman trying to get rid of an apple peeler, a family heirloom. She's got some hard times, and and Zoe reaches out to her to purchase the apple peeler, and they spark a friendship, which turns into a little bit of an online relationship, which then turns into almost some sort of, I guess it's like 50 Shades of Grey situation, where you have one being kind of submissive to the other, and it gets twisted. It gets like the sponsor, is that what is the drudge? Sponsor and drudge. The sponsor, Zoe, is having the drudge, Agnes, do some pretty weird stuff. It kind of starts off kind of like flirtatious, like, oh, do this thing that's, kind of sexualized in public and we'll get off on it sort of situation. And then it sort of turns from there much darker and much weirder. And I know if you are light of heart and you don't have, a good stomach for kind of disgusting things, you probably don't want to read this. Things do get kind of disgusting. But I'm not going to lie, I kind of wish, and this is good, this is not to sound like a pervert, I wish there was more to it. And not because I wanted more of the disgusting stuff, but more just because it escalates so quickly from like the innocent tasks to like the deep and disturbing tasks. Like in the blink of an eye, like that. It just flips that page and you're there. And I don't want to say it just ends, because it doesn't just end. The future is already inferred based on, the death of Agnes and the case of Zoe. But having all these conversations between them, it doesn't quite have as good of a conclusion as one would want. As much payoff reacting of interactions between the two of them. Basically, one drinks the Kool-Aid and one does not drink the Kool-Aid. And that's not a literal, like, drinking the Kool-Aid thing, so that's not a spoiler. It's just, the one kind of distances herself, and the other one is still attached to this relationship, and the future is inferred, but I kind of wish there was more there. But, it was very well written. I liked it. I'm a big fan of epistolary novels. Dracula is probably the most famous epistolary novel. The format is, very interesting, especially if you grew up in the time of Instant Messenger. So you might enjoy that. I will say that the early emails between the two characters were very heavy in terms of the grammar and the dialogue. I mean, not really dialogue. That's probably not the right word for it. They're very heavy. Like it doesn't feel as natural as it might be in an actual email. It's very formal, which there are people online like that. So maybe it's very accurate to who the characters are. But that's just the first half of this collection. The second half does feature two more short stories, and first being The Enchantment, which deals with a couple who, after the loss of their son, move out to a remote island to take care of a hotel. That kind of sounds like The Shining. It's not The Shining. And they're not greeted by him, but a strange guest arrives on this island who they take in, and they have suspicions about who this person actually is. And it's a very heartfelt short story about loss and grief. And I like the story behind it. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a fan of the writing style. I don't know how to describe the writing style. There's not enough descriptors. Everything is kind of told through action and dialogue. So you have Olive washes the car, Olive's ears pin, the door unlocks, Olive and James leap, Milo lurches, they cheer. There's not really any descriptors. It's all through actions. And I mean, I liked the story, but I didn't like the style. And then the third story, which is You Will Find People Are Like That All Over? Is that how it is? I might be wording that incorrectly. You'll find it's like that all over. Is the complete opposite. The style of this, absolutely fine. 100% fine with the writing style. I just didn't like the story. So you have an epistolary novel that I felt like could have had more added onto it. You have a short story with a great story but a poor writing style. And then you have a poor story with a great writing style. It's kind of a modge podge of what you're going to get. You'll find It's Like That All Over deals with a man who finds an object in his garden that he believes his neighbor has given him. He goes to give the neighbor, who's kind of a reclusive neighbor, the object, and he gets tangled up into a very, very bizarre game of chance, various bets and gambles that kind of keep escalating from one to the next. Honestly, that third story kind of reminded me of The Odds by Jeff Strand, except The Odds was a great story, and you should go read that. And it's not to say that, this story is a bad story. I just didn't like it. And I mean, it's a very small story. It's 20 pages in this whole almost 300 page collection. So it's a very small part. The big meat and potatoes is going to be the titular story and The Enchantment, which is the name of the hotel. But anyways, I'm not disappointed that I read it. I don't know that I know Eric LaRocca is still very big in the book talk world. I've seen a lot of his stories and a lot of his covers, most of which feature kind of these almost like watercolor distortions of people. I keep seeing the covers on the Books of Horror Facebook group. And I'm sure I'll probably check out more by him. Like I said, if there's anything that can be said about the short story collection, is that it is very varied. That sounds weird when I say it like that. But each story in here, all three of them, are written in vastly different styles. And, I mean, they do all talk about misfortunes, hence the title. But I guess if you're going to, flex as an author and show all the different ways in which you can write a story, then Eric LaRocca has definitely achieved that. You have three different writing styles: the epistolary, one that's told strictly through actions, and then one that's just your standard story, which all deal with a range of things. One being the dangers of being online and dangers of stranger danger online, and just the absolute dark areas that people can go in relationships, especially when they have trauma in their past that they both share. The middle short story, which deals with loss in a very, very nice way. And the third story, which deals with talking to your neighbors, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, check out Eric LaRocca. Like I said, you could buy this copy, not this copy, but you can buy this book anywhere books are sold, or individual novella if things have gotten worse. This one's signed, which you can also buy online through various sites like Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you around next time.